Okay, so you probably have seen those videos of people using jelly plates, like if you're on any sort of art and painting and printmaking TikTok or Instagram or wherever you watch short videos. I recently saw Sandy Hester was starting to do it, and I really like her vlogs. So I bought one. Because I had been getting so many videos, I was like, I want to play with that. This one I had been letting dry out overnight. I'm gonna put it back in its case so it doesn't get disgusting. But, so the whole principle is that it's a way to do printmaking without using ink. Ink tends to be very messy, sort of sticky, hard to clean. I personally don't love working with it. I do like printmaking. I've always loved printmaking. One of my favorite classes in college was my printmaking class. And I have some of those materials that I got from my friend Ashley for screen printing, and I started to do it a little bit, but it just never really stuck just because of how messy it is. I don't really like super duper messy art materials. That's why I don't paint in oil. So I saw this and I said, this is perfect. So it's screen printing, and you can use acrylic and gouache on this plate. And so Max and I, my partner, did this little like at-home date where we did some printmaking. And I thought going into it I knew what I was doing. I thought I had watched so many videos that I understood, but as soon as we started, it was a little bit of a learning curve. It's something I needed to learn, but totally worth it. So we did these prints. We did a few like test prints. We did some using a book that we had that had images of like fish and coral and all kinds of aquatic sort of imagery. And we thought the image was going to be high contrast enough to print on the block well, but it was not. That's okay. A learning curve, like I said. And I think the jelly plate needed to be worked a little bit just to it was a little bit too new. Like when you buy a new watercolor palette and like you put the paint on the palette and it starts to bead a little, I think the jelly plate just needed to be sort of worked with a little bit to be broken in. And so it made this like crazy little like weird watery texture, which was interesting, but not exactly what we wanted. And we also did a lot of just testing about like how much paint to put on the plate and using the roller that you typically use in like lino cuts. Yeah, so we just sort of played around. And my favorite print of the night was this one we did with acrylic and paint markers on one of those images from that fish book. And it was a body of fish. We drew a bunch of flowers, just kind of doodled. And so we put the first layer down of paint markers, and then we did a second layer of drawing the same flowers but with paint. And then on top of that, did a background layer of blue. And while the paint was still wet, we went in with the fish image. For some reason, we thought the fish image was going to come up, but we let it dry, and so it ended up the whole plate just dried on that piece of paper. I think if we would have worked less time of letting it dry, the fish image might have come up, but I realized we needed to work in a few extra layers. It's all, like I said, just a big learning curve. You have to play around with like how to do those image transfers, how to like dry it. It's a big learning curve, but I think this is going to be a very fun tool to work with. And I'm very excited for how everything came out. The fish image is still awesome. This one, the flower one, it's awesome. Regardless, these are gonna make great like collage materials, like these test prints where we were just testing out how things work. These are gonna be fun. Things to cut up later for collages for sure. Or I could easily print on top of that one. And also this paper that I have, these are from just a side note, these are from my grandma's last husband. When he died, they were going through his stuff, and he had a bunch of paper, like these weird pads of paper, like 2 or 3 different pads of paper that I've never seen before, like including this one from the 70s when he worked at this company where he invented the milk jug. A weird side note. He invented a lot of other very cool things that we use every day, like the styrofoam and meat packaging and Ziploc and milk jugs. So him and his team would also do marketing things, I suppose. And this is one of the pads of paper that they had for storyboards, which is kind of cool. You can see the different boards in the background. And so Max wanted to print on this to see what it looked like, just because it has this blue sort of tint to it. So, I mean, it's a very thin paper, but since we're working with acrylic, like it doesn't bubble up that much. So that's nice. But yeah, those are going to be awesome for collaging with. And I'm excited to do more finalized sort of pieces in the future on like some nicer paper. Once I get the hang of it, I'll start using my nicer paper to print. And so if you're interested in something like this, I'll have a link in the description if you want to buy a Gelli plate. They have a bunch of different sizes. You can literally use any kind of acrylic on it. And if you want to adhere it to the paper with something clear, I just bought this Liquitext matte gel medium. It's a little pricey, but worth it if you're looking to do more of a translucent, transparent background instead of like a solid color of paint. Yeah, watch some of those videos about these. They've been all over my Instagram. Maybe they're all over yours. You good? Yeah, so that's that. Those were the test prints I did. Very fun exploration into a new sort of medium that I'm very excited to try out. I think this will be great for selling originals at art shows. And monoprinting is so fun because each one, even if you do the same sort of design, every single one is going to be a little bit different than the one before. Yeah, so I'm excited to play around more with this sort of material. It would be fun to maybe take this out and do a plein air with this. It would take a little bit of time to get everything to dry, but I think it'd be worth it. And if I end up doing that, I will show you guys. But yeah, like I said, if you want to try one of these, I'll put all the materials that I did end up using in the description so you can shop that. I'll get a little kickback from if you end up buying something. It doesn't cost any extra to you. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe or whatever. Bye.